It's been 1 week since Tottenham triggered the £60 million release clause that Nottingham Forest chairman Marinakis happily inserted into Morgan Gibbs-White's contract. Since then, all we've seen is bluster, hyperbole, and leaked BS from the Forest side as they scramble to suggest Tottenham have behaved improperly, all the while not having the legal evidence or chops to actually file any complaint. Meanwhile, their fans have suddenly got ridiculously defensive of their mad, pitch-running, manager-baiting chairman, suggesting he must be in the right because, he's their chairman. What a week it has been. But all reports suggest by the end of this weekend, Morgan Gibbs-White will be a Tottenham Hotspur player. And no doubt, at that point, Forest will release a statement that will be absolutely chock full of half-baked accusations with absolutely no legal evidence to back it up. I'll, of course, discuss the latest on that deal, as well as reports of more exciting potential incomings to Tottenham Hotspur and the latest on whether our captain Son Heung-min, the legend, will be at the club next season. All this and more on today's daily Tottenham Hotspur transfer news. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening wherever you are. Please do press that like button on YouTube. Please do subscribe if you're not already a subscriber for daily Tottenham Hotspur transfer news. And as you'll see in the description box below, if I could get some nominations for the Football Content Awards, if you like my stuff, go to the link in the description box and nominate me for a couple of those categories. All right, let's get started. The latest on the saga, the soap opera, Morgan Gibbs-White. I was listening yesterday to the Rule the Roost podcast, another podcast you should definitely listen to and subscribe to if you don't already, with Trunk. And Jack Pitt-Brooke was on there, and he said that he feels, it's his opinion, but based on all of the sources that he's spoken to, and of course he is one of the beat reporters for Spurs for The Athletic, so he has a lot of ins within the club. He thinks that, or suggests that most sources close to the deal are in agreement that the Morgan Gibbs-White transfer will ultimately happen. Other reports say that Gibbs-White is hopeful that a solution can be found by the end of this weekend as Forest prepare for their first pre-season friendly against Monaco, which is tomorrow. Tottenham also have their first pre-season friendly against Reading tomorrow. Whilst in Portugal, that's where Forest are going off on their pre-season tour, where they're set to play against Fulham and a local Portuguese side. Reports suggest the ball is in Tottenham's court, with the Europa League champions apparently weighing up a bid of between £3 and £5 million more than the £60 million release clause to try and massage Marinakis' ego. Apparently that could be enough to change his mind. But I do think, as I've said this week on videos already, Daniel Levy won't be ecstatic about the thought of having to bid a bit more. I imagine this is probably Vinay Venkatesham saying, let's just throw in a little bit more money, keep them happy, make them feel like they've got to win. They haven't got to win. Forest put the £60 million release clause into the contract. And that's what Daniel Levy will be thinking. He's like, I've said I'll pay the money. Ashley Young, really interesting. Ashley Young, ex-Aston Villa, Man United player, of course. He did an interview with Sky Sports News yesterday where he said this: Nottingham Forest put in the release clause. You might want nobody to know, but the player knows, the agent knows. If you don't want him to leave, don't put the release clause in there. And there we have it. A professional footballer who's signed many contracts down the years, had many contract negotiations, saying it exactly how it is, exactly how I've been saying it all the time. And basically exactly the opposite of what Nottingham Forest fans have been saying, who've all been like, oh, Tottenham have been tapping him up, this and that. No, if you allow, as a club, your player to have a release clause in his contract, it's on you. It's your fault. You obviously didn't feel like you could get the player from Wolves unless you put that release clause in there. So you took that risk then, and now that risk is coming home to roost. Ashley Young there, just saying it exactly as it is. And a lot of people I've heard this week been saying like, oh, Spurs weren't subtle by bidding £60 million on the nose. They should have maybe bid a bit less first and, had that rejected or bid a bit over. No, why? This is football. Agents talk to players all the time. Agents talk to other agents. Clubs talk to agents. It's not just Tottenham who knew that £60 million release clause was in there. Everybody did. It's just that Tottenham wanted the player and were willing to pay the money, probably, most of it up front. And in reality, if Tottenham had bid less than the £60 million up front, first of all, then Forest would have just said no. And then what? Then Tottenham would have had to go up at 60 million again. It doesn't make a difference. It's completely mad. Ali Gold just said one thing that was interesting on the Golden Guest Talk Tottenham podcast as well, which is another great one. Definitely listen to that if you don't already. He said that there is obviously the chance that now that Tottenham have bid that £60 million, that another club could come in and bid the £60 million, and Forest would have to let him talk to them. So it's really got nothing to do with Tottenham as far as I'm concerned. It's just, like I said at the top, bluster, hyperbole, BS from Marinakis, having to be pushed out by the Forest kind of social team and communications and media team. I imagine that some of them are just a bit like, God, hard work working under this chairman. But like I said, all the Forest fans just think he's absolutely gold, their chairman. And, maybe I understand why you would defend your chairman, but I don't think if he keeps putting contract clauses into the best players' contracts where they can go for much less than what they're worth, I don't think that support for the chairman will last much longer. Okay, more transfer reports. Tottenham retain an interest in Yohan Wissa, but after the signing of Mohamed Kudus, he's seen as less of a priority. That was according to Tom Barkley. Ben Jacobs was on Last Word on Spurs last night. Make sure you watch Last Word on Spurs with Ricky Sachs if you don't already. More great Spurs content. Ben Jacobs said Tottenham hold a concrete interest in Brentford forward Yohan Wissa. Tottenham want to add another versatile attacker who's capable of playing across the front three this window. For me, I think that is all dependent on if Richarlison gets a move, and if Sonny, as I'll talk about in a bit later in the episode, if Sonny ends up leaving the club, then you would see us wanting another forward. But at the moment, with the signing of Kudus and a potential signing of Morgan Gibbs-White coming in, I think in terms of that front kind of 3 or 5 players, we have a lot of options there. And soon, you would like to think we will start looking at central defensive midfielders. And relevantly, Tottenham apparently held a new round of talks with João Paulinho from Bayern Munich this week. He also has interest from Inter Milan, but some reports suggest a move back to London, having moved away from Fulham, would appeal to him more. And then another central defensive midfielder that we're in for has been on our list for a while, Wolves' Brazilian central defensive midfield player, João Gomes, who has made his debut for Brazil now. He had a really excellent season for Wolves last season. 36 appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist, 23 total shots, 21 total key passes, 4 goal and assist. Oh, no, his goal and assist per 90 stats, 0.12. In terms of his defensive metrics, though, far more important. 110 tackles, 25 interceptions, 68 fouls committed, 43 fouls against, 11 yellow cards, and 1 red card. Consistent starter, 34 starts in the Premier League for Wolves, averaging 83 minutes per match. Really good work rate, strong defensive numbers, good overall tackles, solid box-to-box presence. Wolves won't want to lose him. He is an excellent player, but he's been on a lot of big clubs' list over the last 6 months, a year. And it'll be interesting to see in tomorrow's game against Reading how Thomas Frank sets up and who he will be playing in front of the back four in terms of those kind of 2 pivot roles. I wonder if it might be Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall to start as a little double pivot. He obviously did love Archie Gray when he was at Leeds because Brentford tried to sign him. And I do think Archie Gray will have much more of a chance this season to show what he can do in midfield, because I don't envisage us playing quite so much of a kind of single man on his own in front of the back four as we did under Ange Postecoglou. Tottenham apparently one of several Premier League clubs interested in signing Club Brugge midfielder Ardon Jashari even. Apologies. Important midfielder for Club Brugge last season. 52 appearances in all comps, 4 goals, 6 assists. 25 appearances in the Belgian Pro League, 11 appearances in the Champions League. Also played in the Belgian playoffs and the Cup for them. He is a key midfield presence at Club Brugge, featured in over 50 matches across all competitions. Duels and defensive contributions reflect his strong all-round work. So another player who likely to be brought in if he was to come to Spurs as a shield in front of that back four, which, what I love about the Spurs transfer strategy at the moment is it feels like they're all aligned, not only with each other in terms of the recruitment team and the manager, etc., but also in terms of what the Spurs fans see that Tottenham needed. the players that we are being linked with is exactly what I feel like all Spurs fans have known that we have needed. Okay, moving on to Sonny. Spurs apparently have informed Son Heung-min that he can leave the club this summer if the right offer comes in. He does need to stick with us for the tour of Asia, including Korea, but they return on August the 8th, which means that will be 5 days before the Super Cup final. You would think Sonny would definitely be involved in that. Another opportunity for him to potentially lift a trophy. Sonny is apparently open to staying at Spurs, and the club will respect his decision. So, in a very rare series of events for Tottenham, Daniel Levy sees Sonny as such a legend. He's like, it's up to you. If you want to stay, you can stay. However, if they get a good offer and he's given the green light, or he gives the green light himself, a transfer is more than likely. It's according to Graham Bailey, who said this. He's aware that he can leave if there's a suitable offer. He's not a cornerstone of what Tottenham are planning going forward. We know Tottenham have brought in Kudus and they still want to sign Wissa. I don't think Tottenham would have any issues if he stayed, but don't be massively surprised if he moves on by the end of the window. He's definitely available to go, and there are a few options out there for him, but he's not a key part of Tottenham's plans going forward. Now, that may sound a bit harsh considering what a legend he is, but this is, I think, Sonny now looking about at the kind of final stage of his career, and how does he want that to play out? Does he want to try and get a move to a big European club, a kind of similar to Lewandowski type move? Or does he want to go over to the MLS or Saudi Arabia? Obviously, financially, I think Tottenham would love to get a big bid from Saudi Arabia, but there's so much respect between the club and the fans and Sonny that I think it'll be up to him. And I think that's the way it should be. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Final bit of news. I'm sure you saw it yesterday. Spurs' exciting, young, talented goalkeeper, Josh Keeley, who was on loan at Leyton Orient last year, played against Man City in the Cup, scored a goal, didn't he, for Leyton Orient as well. Brilliant header from across. He is being sold to Luton. We've agreed a deal in principle, according to Alistair Gold. And we have apparently been trying to get Josh Keeley on a new contract, but a few things go against him. One is that, of course, we brought in Antonin Kinski, so he's jumped up the pecking order. Another is that Josh Keeley, because he is not classified as a homegrown player, so that even makes it hard if he were to stay at Spurs for him to get on the bench for European games. So it looks like Tottenham are going to get a bit of money from Luton, who have gone down to League One, but it will mean game time for Josh Keeley, which at this stage of his career will be really important, and Spurs will have a sell-on clause as well. All right, guys. So as I said at the top, looks like very much Morgan Gibbs-White should be a Spurs player by the end of the weekend, if all reports are to believe. Let's hope that goes through and nothing gets in the way of it. And of course, if anything happens, I will jump on a live stream as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching. Please do give this video a like if you haven't already. If you're not a subscriber already, do press that subscribe button. It should be down there somewhere. Yeah. Down there. There we go. For daily Tottenham Hotspur transfer news and all the news and views from White Hart Lane. And do press that bell button so you get a notification whenever my content comes up. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Come on, you Spurs.